Hi, everybody. Debra Prinzing here from the Slow Flower Society, and I'm delighted to introduce two of my colleagues in our upcoming tour to Holland and Belgium. First in the center of the screen is Lois Moss. Lois owns Tour to Explore Garden Tours. Hi, Lois.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
And Lorene Edwards Forkner, and she is our wonderful co-host and artist in residence for the tour. Hi, Lorene.
Hey, Deb. This is so exciting.
It is. It is. Lorene and I go way back, as many of you may know. She's been a guest of the Slow Flowers podcast, been a speaker at the Slow Flowers Summit, and it's basically my favorite person to tour gardens with. So when Lois approached us to host a tour, a river cruise in April in Europe, why did we say yes? Of course we said yes. So, Lois, give us a little intro to your business and the kind of tours you've created. You curate tours specifically for flower and garden enthusiasts, right?
Definitely. So I started not quite 10 years ago as a volunteer for the Horticulture Society that I'm a member of. And I did tours as a volunteer for a couple of years. And then people kept asking me to do other groups. So it's kind of morphed into a business, but it's more of a passion project than a real business. So I kind of do it just as a passion project. And I always, these days, I scope out the gardens ahead of time. I don't just follow every other tour operator's itinerary. And there's a couple of gardens on our itinerary that are like, they're not going to be on other people's. And vice versa, that there's some that other people use all the time that I've looked at and like, I think there's something better that's under the radar. So I scope out everything. I've done this area 5 or 6 times over the last decade. And I went this spring specifically to experience River Cruise, which is a really hot area in the travel world right now. And it was really fun. My husband went on that one, and he's not usually a tour person at all. And he has said numerous times, that was way more fun than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So we're looking forward to doing another one at some point. And with this particular company, which is Ama Waterways, you can do our custom excursions. So our group will have some custom excursions where we go to some botanical gardens that aren't on their regular itinerary, but you can also go on the ones that are just part of the regular tour. So it's especially helpful if you have somebody who's maybe not into gardens as much as you are. They can go on the regular Ama Waterways excursions while we go to botanical gardens.
I noticed that like every day there's practically every day it seems is a bicycle tour option for people who want to experience Holland and Belgium on a
Yes.
two-wheeler.
Yeah. And you can also take out bikes on your own. We went with the Ama Waterways company this summer, and like all the meals are included. And they have more food than you can possibly eat. So in the morning you have breakfast as a buffet or a sit down where they take your order. Lunch, same kind of thing. Dinners are amazing. Beer and wine are included with dinners and lunches. And their staff was fabulous. I think they had about 50 staff people on the cruise ship. And this is not like a jumbo cruise ship. This is the maximum number of people is 140, but that's only if they have 2 people in every cabin. So I'm going to guess the number of people on the ship is more like 100, 120. And then they have 50 crew people to take care of your every needs. But many of them are working in the background that you don't even see them.
Well, I feel like all of us who are fans of PBS have been seeing these ads from Viking River Cruises. And I love them. I think they're really effective in terms of talking about the only thing we don't have enough of is time and how we need to, connect with our loved ones and see the world. So that's all the impression I have of a river cruise. And you had said, Lois, that is, yes, that company is out there and they've popularized this, but now there's all these more boutique cruise companies, including Ama Waterways, that are working on maybe doing a little bit more intimate and not mass market kind of tours?
Right. And also, all the ships are the same size because they have to navigate through the different locks and bridges. So all the ships that do river cruises, well, all but one, are exactly the same size. But the Viking cruises have more like 210 people on board instead of 100 and I don't know the exact number. So
Yeah.
if anybody's spot checking, but they have more people on the same footprint, so their cabins are smaller. And
Okay.
they've done a great job of creating the market basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm excited. So you've kind of specialized in taking what is a regular itinerary that works for the cruise ship and then layering over it the garden lovers, flower lovers, special excursions. So
Yeah.
Lorene and I, we're all in. Like we'll love everything, but maybe we can have you walk people through the tour. And Lorene, jump in if you've got questions, and we'll just. Shall I give you permission to share the screen here, Lois?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this is an electronic version of the map, and I can share this with anybody, and it's on our brochure as well. So I just wanted to give you the outer view. So this is Europe and where we're going to be. And on this My Maps, it's called, you can scroll in. So you fly into Amsterdam, which is here. That's where you fly in. And we're not staying in Amsterdam. We're going to Utrecht, which is about a half an hour away. And this is Utrecht here. And it's super easy to get to on the train. And Utrecht has been referred to as the Amsterdam without the crowds. So Amsterdam as it used to be before it was super crowded. It's an amazingly quaint city. And it has the tallest church tower in the Netherlands. It's just a fabulous, fabulous place to be. So we have 3 nights there, and we have some excursions out to Utrecht Botanical Garden, which is one that you're not going to find on tour itineraries, but it's amazing. It was one of the earlier botanical gardens in the Netherlands. And they have done a big renovation of it within the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. So I got a lot of alpine plants in one section, and it plants through time. So they have a way of showing how plants have evolved over millennia.
Wow.
So we'll do Utrecht Botanical Garden. And then there's 2 private gardens, Tuin Damin and Tuin means garden, I'm assuming, Lago de Oorsprong. And when I was out researching gardens, I stopped at Oorsprong, and the woman who owns it was so delightful. So we chatted with her for quite some time. She let us into her garden, even though she really wasn't open at that day. And she suggested the second one. So we'll do Utrecht Botanical Garden, 2 private gardens, and then we go back to Utrecht. The next day we go to Palace Het Loo, and Het Loo is like the Versailles of the Netherlands. It just recently reopened after being closed for something like 5 years for a multi-million-dollar renovation expansion. And this one, when I saw the website, I thought, well, French parterre gardens, I don't know. Oh my gosh, blew me away how beautiful it was. And they don't just plant a whole bunch of begonias and annuals. It's planted with really interesting plants. And for anyone who does flower arranging, they had massive 4-foot tall fresh flower arrangements all throughout the museum and the palace. So that one, we're going to spend a good chunk of the day there. We're going to have lunch in a private area for our group. And then we have a tour with one of the head gardeners. So we're going to spend most of the day at Het Loo.
Yeah, I looked at their website. I couldn't believe how elegant and just like pristine it is. And I guess that's the renovation, that not just to the building, but to the grounds.
Right. And they did a big extension. So there's a museum about the family, the kings and queens of Orange. And there's a changing exhibit in the new museum part as well. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. The next day, Keukenhof is world famous, and it's known for its tulips, but they have much, much, much more than just tulips. They had fritillaria, they had daffodils, hyacinths, and more than just fields of tulips. They had areas that you could, under buildings, that they had displays about raising different types of bulbs. So it's all about the bulbs. And what is different about our tour is for anybody who's on the cruise, they'll have just like 2 hours at Keukenhof, but we've built in more like 6 hours at Kukenhof. And you could spend a lot longer than that. That was another one that I thought, okay, tulips, I'll go look at tulips. Oh my goodness. It was crazy. It was
Well,
amazing.
luckily, Lorene and I have both been to Kukenhof, and Lorene has a great story to tell about her visit, because it was ye old early days, right?
Yeah, no, this was way back when the earth was cooling. And my husband and I were there on the starving student backpacking tour. And he's not a gardener, but and at the time I was mostly an art student. So, but the tulips, the overwhelming impact of all that color. I remember seeing haystacks of tulips in the fields because they were harvesting the bulbs, not the blooms. And it blew my mind. It is truly psychedelic to see all that. The display gardens are brilliant, and on a scale that only a public garden can do. I mean, if we did that in our own garden, it would be a wasteland the rest of the year. But
I remember when I went in 2005, so it's also been 20 years. But what impressed me, I had the same attitude, Lois, that you're like, is this just like kind of a monochromatic, like one type of flower? Is that going to get old after several hours? But there were so many creative planting ideas, especially in containers and raised beds, and like pairings of what to pair with spring flowering bulbs, not just tulips, but other flowering bulbs. I found it really interesting, and I took a ton of photos. This is before iPhones, so I have them all in a box of slides somewhere, but I'm so excited to go and have more time. So, and you've arranged for us to have like the minute the gates open to have access, right?
Yes. And that's one of the things when I went this spring, it got busy around noon. So we're going to get there when it opens, and the crowds weren't too bad. We got there this spring when it opens. The crowds weren't too bad, but by noon, 1 o'clock, it was getting pretty crowded. So we're going to get there right at opening time, and we'll be leaving around 1 o'clock. And then we go to the cruise ship. We're going to have our luggage transferred from the hotel to the cruise ship, so we don't have to deal with the luggage. And we'll just waltz onto the cruise ship about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's going to be in Amsterdam. So we'll waltz on, and there's a opening dinner. Well, there's a cocktail hour. They always have cocktail hours, and they do fancy non-alcoholic drinks as well too. So cocktail hour, you get to meet the captain and some of the staff, and then they have a nice dinner aboard, and then we have 7 nights on the cruise ship after that.
So 3 nights on land in Utrecht, and kind of like the hotel there is our home base.
Correct.
And we do these day trips, and then we get on the ship. This is the part I'm so excited about. While we're sleeping is when the ship moves generally, right?
Right, for the most part. This particular cruise, most of the time it goes at night. There are 3 mornings when it'll be sailing, but that's when we're expecting Lorene and Debra to do some kind of a class or a hands-on for somebody who wants to. You don't have to. You could always just sit up on the top and watch the scenery go by. But there'll be some time to have some kind of a hands-on or a demo or who knows what. That's up to you.
Yeah.
We're going to let nature inspire us. So we've got lots of ideas. And maybe before we wrap up, I'll have Lorene mention what she's thinking about doing. But I think that's good in a way, because I want to enjoy that movement and seeing the scenery along the canal or river bank as well.
Yeah. If the weather's nice, we could do the watercolor painting or something on top, because there's plenty of space on the ship, and they have covered areas and open to the sky areas. So there's lots of room to do things like that.
So what river is it exactly when we leave Amsterdam that we're going to be on? Do you know?
It's lots of canals.
I see.
So I've had a couple people say, I can't work out where we're going. So a lot of times it's canals. And you can zoom in on here and kind of see that there's lots of waterways. And the Dutch are the masters at water and navigating water. And some of this area used to be covered in water, and they, in the centuries,
the way they found land, they drained it.
Exactly. So we're on the ship, and we're going to first go up to this area, which is, I don't know how to pronounce it, but Geithorn, maybe. And this is an area where there's a lot of tulip bulbs and tulip beds. And there's going to be optional day to go into Gaythorn, which is a little community that doesn't have cars. They just do everything by canal.
Wow.
Dreamland.
Yeah. So, and there'll be different options on each day. So it's not that everybody has to do the same thing. There'll be a couple of different options. And Ama Waterways was very good about letting you be flexible. Like we changed our minds that morning a few times. They're like, sure, okay, whatever, because they have enough coaches lined up that they can take people.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can change your mind throughout the day, or throughout the tour. So then the first, let's see, where would we be? We'd be in Kampen then for our first night on the cruise ship. Well, the second night. The first night we're in Amsterdam. Second night we're in Kampen. Then the boat moves and we end up in Brunice.
Wow.
Yeah, so somehow it gets all the way down there.
Covering a lot of length of.
Yeah, but we'll be sleeping. So somehow we magically appear here. And on this day, we have an optional to go to an arboretum that's called Kalmthout. It's a fantastic one. And it's one that you don't see on most garden tours. But my husband and I went to it, and I just drove up to it and went, wow, this is amazing. So it would be like Bellevue Botanical Garden possibly is like something similar. And they do a lot of different guided tours. There's lots of options for different guided. So I have to decide on one. There was so many I couldn't decide, but we'll decide on one. So we have a guided experience for maybe 45 minutes and then independent time after that. And I try not to do guided tours that are like 3 hours long because nobody wants to do that. So I try to do like 45 minutes, maybe an hour guided, and then independent time. So like
almost with a docent kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you. I think that's a perfect time. You get your information, but then you can go back and look at whatever's particularly interesting to you.
Right. Answer all your questions that got piqued with the guide.
Right. And if you want to have guided time, usually the guides will hang out longer than that and answer questions one-on-one if you want to hang out and do that. So then the next day we go to Ghent, which is down here. That's where the ship will be. And we are going to go to Mies Planetium. I can't pronounce it, but Meise. And this one I cannot believe is not on more tour itineraries. So Terry and I went, and it's like Kew Botanical Gardens. It is literally like Kew. It's the same size. It's been around about the same amount of time, but nobody knows it exists. So similarly, we'll have partially a guided tour and then time on your own. And this is a place you could spend easily a whole day, just like at Kew Botanical Gardens in London. And I don't know why nobody knows about this one, but it's going to be like that. Well, also just down the street from there, were you going to say something, Deborah?
I was just going to say, are we now in Belgium when we get to Ghent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're close to Brussels.
I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is where Plantentuin, which means plant garden, I guess, Meise. So right near here is something that I hope we can get into, which is the Royal Greenhouses of Laeken. So this is open 3 weeks of the year.
Wow.
We're working with a company that's a tour planner in Amsterdam to try to get tickets. So the tickets are free, but they sell out within like 2-3 days. So we all have, their staff, me, my husband, everybody I can think of, all have little timers on our phones to try to, it's like
it's like the Miller Garden when they open their
I was going to say
right?
The lottery for the World Cup.
Yeah, right. So I think we can get into this with the help of our friends in Amsterdam, hopefully. But
again, this is just something that we would never have figured out on our own. And you have these relationships where because they open in the spring for 3 weeks, we might be able to get through the gates.
Yes. And Terry and I went to look out where the parking is. And what I do when I look out for gardens and do my scoping trips, I look for bathrooms, I look for coach access, and I look for places that people can eat so that we have all those needs taken care of. So I know the outside of this one. I haven't been inside, but a friend of mine, Carl from Longwood, went there, and he said it was like it blew his mind, and he works in the conservatory at Longwood.
Wow.
Yes,
that's an endorsement.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get in there. Not promised, but I'm pretty sure we can, hopefully. Yeah. Okay. Oh, and there's a Floralia floral show. If we can't get into Laeken, there's a floral show happening nearby. That's
I was going to say, I'm sure you have a backup plan. That sounds
this
wonderful.
is a backup plan, Floralia, which is a well-respected floral show that happens. I think we go to Antwerp next, or we're docked in Antwerp, and there's a slew of different things that you can do that are near here. One of them is Kinderdijk, which is windmills. So they have about a dozen windmills, and we're already working with the Dutch company to do some extra experiences there. So it won't be just what everybody else does is go look at the windmills, get back on the bus. So they're going to do some cruises, like a river cruise. So we see the windmills from the canal, like a little boat that only holds 40 people. And we have in here is possibly going to Delft as an option. I know you guys are excited about Delft, which is a town where they make the pottery. Delft pottery is from.
That blue is amazing.
Yeah,
Lorene, that's kind of fun to see what you do with that, a whole study at that classic blue glaze.
Yeah, and you can do, like, sometimes you can do 2 excursions in a day. Sometimes there'll be a morning one and an afternoon one. And I think on this day you could do Kinderdijk in the morning and Delft in the afternoon, I think. But we'll have to look at the details on that. But they definitely had 2 excursions per day on the tour that Terry and I did. So then we cruise our way back into Amsterdam, and that's where the tour ends. But we're going to have a cruise in the canals of Amsterdam as an option, or if somebody wants to go to Hortus Botanicus in Leiden, and Leiden is down in here. Where is Leiden? It's somewhere down in here. I'll have to find it on the map, but it's a little bit south. So that's going to be an option for that day if somebody wants to do Leiden. And that's, I think, the oldest botanical garden in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands, if you think about, we know England as the garden place to go. Netherlands has maybe almost as much history. The East India Company.
Trading company, yeah.
Yeah, they were from here, and they went to India, some of the first explorers to go there and bring things back. So their botanical gardens are very, very old, from the 1600s. And they've been doing this for a long time. And Debra, you know lots of growers in this area. I'm starting to get all kinds of, there's more greenhouses and growers and things, like the cut flower industry.
I know. I would love to do an excursion to some of those. It may not happen because of the locations, but we're hoping to get someone from the Netherlands or the Belgian Slow Flowers groups and to come on board and just give us a little presentation about what's happening, because this whole movement of slow flowers in Europe is happening under the giant gorilla of the Dutch flower auction. And all flowers are moving through that Almsmeer Dutch flower auction, but it doesn't mean that they're Dutch grown. So there is this really interesting emerging group of flower growers and florists who are trying to focus on more sustainable practices, not necessarily commercially grown greenhouse product, but field grown. So hopefully I've interviewed the person from the Netherlands before at the Slow Flower Summit last year. I'm hoping that we can connect with her and get her to come give us a little talk. So to be determined, but it is mid-April, toward the mid to end of April, and that seems to be a perfect time to have this conversation. So.
Yeah. The gardens are going to look amazing. The tulips will still be in bloom, but the rest of the garden will, like spring flowering shrubs and things, will be blooming by then.
Yeah. So when you planned this, you added the option of the bonus tour. Is that at the beginning or at the end of this tour?
It's at the beginning. So that's in the town of Haarlem. And Haarlem is just to the west. It's not on this map, but it's just to the west of Amsterdam. So right there.
Okay.
And there's a flower parade called Bloemen Corso Bolenstreek that it starts down in here, and it takes them all day to go from here. They move very slowly, and it's like the Rose Bowl parade, but it takes all day, and the crowds are much smaller, and people are just having parties along the route. So from here to here, and it takes them all day to do this route. And it's floats that are covered in bulbs. So
I love
instead of
it.
being covered in roses like the Rose Bowl Parade, they're covered in tulips, hyacinths, daffodils,
Wow. Oh, fragrant.
and stuff. And the parade ends in Harlem. So they end in Harlem, and the floats are in the park there for over the weekend. So you can go see the floats.
At your leisure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Harlem, oh my gosh, it's probably my favorite town in the Netherlands. I've spent a lot of time there. It's just a stunning, stunning, beautiful place.
So if people opt for that, there is an additional charge, but you fly into Amsterdam and somehow navigate your way to Harlem.
I've included, we'll pick you up and get you to Harlem. Probably on the train. So that's one of the things that I try to do is the public transit in the rest of the world is so much better than in the United States. I know public transit can be scary for some people, but anytime we use public transit on my tours, I'll have like a Dutch person who meets you at the airport, gets you to the train, buys your ticket, gets you on the train, and either goes with you or there'll be another Dutch person at the end to meet you. So I think that's what we're doing for Harlem. We're going to have a Dutch guide in the airport and a Dutch guide at the Harlem station so that you
can't get lost.
it's not as scary.
And if you do, we'll go find you.
Yeah, it's not as scary as most people think. I want people to experience public transit in a way so that it's so sustainable and it's so green. And we go to the taxi because that's what we're used to. But I'm trying to hopefully make it a little less scary for people.
I
always love the different perspective of train travel, and I'm so looking forward to that with the canals too. It's like you're behind the scenes. You're getting a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, and it's often faster than going in a car. I've had a couple of times where people have insisted, no, I have to have a taxi. I'm like, okay, it's going to take you an extra half an hour, but it's going to cost 5 times as much.
Well, this is great, Lois. I want to show just the fact sheet that has all of everything that's included. But before we do that, I'm going to turn this screen off and just ask Lorene to tell us kind of how she leads people through exercises of observing nature. And you talk about marker making, and this might be something that you'll be weaving through the time together when we have some of the gatherings of our group, because we're going to be on a boat with lots of other people, but we're going to have our own meeting areas too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, it's more. I always joke it's not making art because I don't say that. But it is about paying attention and deliberately focusing our attention. Color is a great way to do that simply because, since we were little kids, we've all been saying, what's your favorite color? It's like it is a universal language. And so the idea that you can kind of take that as your anchor for your experience and rather recording the colors that you see or just being aware of them. It's like when we pay attention, we see more. Everybody knows that. And it's to bring that awareness to each of our experiences as a way to enlarge it and kind of enrich, layer on these different experiences. And I'm going to have options for people to record their various perceptions. It could be as simple as a little square of the red in the tulips that you saw that day, but it wasn't just red. It was red and carmine and burgundy and, just looking more, seeing more. But one of the things as I started to think about this, and it really kind of takes me back to my practice in everyday life, is this isn't just for travel. This way of looking at the world and layering on your experience is something you can take home. Not only will you have captured your memories of this amazing tour, but I think you'll go home looking differently at everyday life.
I love it. I'm so tickled that we're going to have time and not just rushed, but kind of it's going to build on, day one is going to build on day 2 is going to build on day 1. And we're going to keep having this conversation together over the course of the whatever, 10 days, give or take.
Yeah. That's one of my sort of, I try to do on my tours too. I don't rush them. I don't go for quantity of places. I've been on other tours where you start at 7 in the morning, you're done at 7 at night, and you're exhausted.
Yeah.
So I don't do that. I try to make it more, let's enjoy ourselves and take some time to
I
enjoy
love
it.
that, Lois. That's important as the person planning the tour
Mhm.
that you convey that to us, so we're not like you're not going to get a comprehensive like European tour where you're going to every city because this is curated, and that's more what we're hoping for is almost like a retreat. And I think we're going to be glad that we had your attitude and your decision about that.
Yeah, yeah. But with the hotel traveling with us, basically, if
Right.
somebody wants to do that, you can. So
Yeah.
if you want to go like that, you can do it.
I don't really think you say no to anybody, Lois. So, with the caveat that sometimes things are out of your control. Should I just pop up on the screen the kind of details about this tour, and then you can? There's some nice things that we can see. Can you guys see that about what's included?
Yep. And I recently added, if somebody only wants to do the river cruise and not the extra 3 days in Utrecht, I just added this yesterday.
I saw that. Okay.
Yeah. So if somebody just wants to go the easiest, quickest, join us in Amsterdam, do just the 7 nights, you can do that.
And the reason the price keeps changing is because of the size of the cabin, right?
Yeah. So in each of those categories, if you scroll further down the page, you'll see
Okay.
where it gives a little description of each cabin. So it has
Right.
the number of square feet, the window type.
And whether if it's solo or
Right.
whether it's double occupancy.
Right. So in the
Okay.
window you're looking at right now, it's a little hard to see that, but if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the web page.
Oh, down here, you mean?
Yeah, keep going down and it'll
Okay.
list all
Oh,
the
okay.
cabins. And that shows a little description of that's almost easier to do it than the drop down menu that's up above.
I agree. So the 7-night cruise without 3 nights in Utrecht in either of these two cabins, as long as they're still available, is the most economical, is the 5,400. And when you add the hotel and all the meals and the ground transportation and the ticket gate charges, you couldn't really do that on your own at this total budget. So I'm amazed that you're able to pull that together.
Included in the price is most meals. And I try not to nickel and dime people on tours. So when you do river cruises, a lot of times you have to pay gratuities and there'll be a port charge and all kinds of things that you don't.
Right.
So I've included all that. So all of that's rolled up into here. If you're doing just the 7-night river cruise thing, I'm not going to get you to Amsterdam because we're going to be busy in Utrecht. But if you're doing the Utrecht part, I've got your airport transfers covered. We've got extra guides that are going to be hired to make sure everybody feels warm and fuzzy and comfortable. So I try to create something that there's not a lot of surprises and there's not a lot of nickel and diming. And anytime that there's an independent meal, I almost always have it at a garden where they have a cafe so that you can have what you want and take as long as you want. When you do included meals at restaurants, it usually takes 3 hours and everybody's got to eat the same thing. So I try not to do that if possible.
So you build in that kind of independent choice. So you could maybe put a small group together, or you can just go by yourself or with your roommate.
Yeah.
And choose how much you want to spend.
Exactly. Yeah. Or if you want to bring a sandwich from the deli next door, you could do that.
I work up an appetite when I'm touring gardens, but it's usually for a scone and a cup of tea.
Exactly.
Well, some of these details that we aren't going to bother to read through, but I will encourage people to follow the link that we'll share and see, what your options are. So what are the dates that people should be aware of?
So the cruise, I've committed to those cabins. If somebody looks at it and they're like, oh, I want to do it, but I really want to get a cabin on the very bottom level that doesn't have any opening windows. If you want me to call the river cruise company, I'm more than happy to call and see if I can get you something else. Because I know there's still cabins available on this one.
Okay.
This particular cruise, the Tulip Time cruises sell out. So I know I've seen a lot of the dates that are already sold out. But these dates, last time I checked, they still had some cabins that were available.
Yeah. And we see how many of these cabins are sold out already.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of others. What I wanted to do is, I think you have down here the floor plan, and this is a nice option too, because a lot of times people don't get to choose their cabins, right?
Yeah, I tried to make it so you actually were choosing which cabin you were at, and this I need to update. It's not completely up to date.
Okay.
These were the cabins that we reserved.
Where is this?
That's in Bruges. That's a picture I took in Bruges.
Oh God, look at that. So pretty.
Bruges is very well known for their lace.
Yes, and tapestries.
Here's the Delft that Lorene is so excited about.
Gardener in a Delft tile. Yep, that's
so charming. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So lots to experience, and we're so excited about this. It's going to be pretty amazing. Lois, anything else we need to talk about before we wrap up?
Just if anybody wants to get in touch with me, they can get in touch by texting, emailing, calling. I'm pretty much a 7-day-a-week work person, so I'm available almost anytime, and I somehow get by on almost no sleep. So call or text or email if you have any questions or ideas.
Well, when you do what you love, you kind of have that. Get up in the morning.
Do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. You get up in the morning and jump right in. Lois, are you traveling anymore between now and April? Are you leading other tours?
I'm not leading any tours, but my husband and I are going to Hawaii for a week.
I think you deserve that.
Yeah,
don't work while you're there.
We'll try. I'm always working though. I'm always scoping out gardens, no matter what.
Lorene, what else? What do you have cooking between now and April 17th when I see you in Amsterdam?
I just got home from Hawaii. We were up in Hana for 8 or 9 days. It's such a different perspective, very rural, very agricultural. I got to go to a cacao farm, which lives on in my memory. I'm looking forward to the Northwest Flower and Garden Show, where I'll be talking. I have a couple of books that are publishing on February 3rd, having to do with vegetable gardening, either in Washington or Oregon. The one for British Columbia comes out a few months after that. So all things that. And then, of course, I'll be planning my own garden. And I mean, I love every season. I would like a little bit of snow in the Pacific Northwest. I'm putting that request in. But, I think every season of the year, and certainly in the garden, has its own charms.
Love it. Well, I'm so excited to be working on this with both of you. I will say we're about, I think, over 50% subscribed on this. So we're pretty confident that it's going to sell out. And now is a time to maybe make your New Year's plans, your New Year's resolution to travel in style on a river cruise boat with the three of us. I'm not sure when I'm going to post this, so you might have this as a after holidays option. But the thing about the new year is we always want to turn over a new leaf, turn over the calendar page, and do something that marks that change in our lives of as gardeners. We are always looking at the seasons and what's new. So I feel like this is a good time to talk about our trip and invite you all to check it out. And as Lois says, reach out if you have questions, because there's still time to make some decisions about what your berth is and whether you're going to join us for the bonus dates. So I'm excited. Thank you so much, Lois and Lorene.
It's going to be wonderful. I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And as soon as we're done, I'm going to say to Lois, what's next? All right. Thanks so much, ladies. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.